Hi guys. All right, so today we're going to be talking about physical and chemical changes to matter. So we've talked about what matter is. It's anything that has mass and takes up space. And we've talked specifically about the states of matter, which are solid, liquid, and gas, and how they can change and how they're different. And so we've talked about like a solid. So I have an egg here. The solid's not going to change shape if I put it in a container, right? It's going to retain its shape even if I put it in a different container. Same thing with this piece of bread. This piece of bread is a solid. It's not going to change shape when I put it in the container. So there are different ways that I can change the shape of these solids. And we can separate those changes into physical changes and chemical changes. And both physical and chemical changes can be reversible and irreversible. So a reversible change is anything that can be undone. So if I bend this piece of bread in half, I can undo that, right? So I just changed the shape of the bread, but I can undo that change. So it is reversible. However, if I tear this piece of bread, that's an irreversible change, because even if I put it back together, it doesn't stay back together anymore. It's never going to stay back together in the same way. So that is an irreversible change. But it is a physical change because I'm applying a force to do that. So bending or tearing, or if I squeeze the bread and I mold it into a ball, that is also a physical change. I'm changing the shape, but it doesn't have a different mass. It still has the same mass. It's just in a different shape, okay? So an egg, I could apply a physical force to this egg by cracking it, right? So that is not, that's irreversible. I can't make that go back to the way it was before. It's not going to go back. So I could also apply force and crack this egg wide open, okay? So, and I can also use the shell and separate the egg and the yolk, right? So now I have the egg white in the bowl and I have the egg yolk in here. I changed the shape of the inside of this egg, and it's possible to change that back, right? I could just drop the yolk back in, okay? Those are all physical changes that I just did. So a chemical change is a little bit different. So we're going to see a chemical change right now. I'm gonna take you with me. I'm gonna take this egg with me to the kitchen, and I'm going to apply heat. So I'm gonna turn on the burner, and I'm gonna let that pan heat up for just a second. And if I apply heat to this egg, it's going to make a chemical change. Oh, I've got some pieces of bread in there. Goodness, Miss Hargrove. So it's going to change the egg in an irreversible way. Okay, so this would be a chemical change. So I'm going to pour the egg and the egg white into the pan, and we're gonna watch what happens. So if you notice over here, I'm already starting to get some color becoming different on the pan. The egg yolk has broken. You see that right there, how it's broken open? Oh, we've got some chemical changes happening. When I'm adding heat, it's changing the chemical composition of the egg. So it's no longer a liquid egg white anymore. It's becoming solid. So we're gonna let it go for another little second, and we're gonna watch how it changes even more. So we can see, you see that solid layer? So we've still got some liquid on the top, but it's turning solid down in here. It's turning more white. It's becoming more, it's retaining its shape more. I'm actually gonna move it around a little bit. Do you see how it's becoming more solid? It's no longer this completely liquid egg. It's becoming a solid scrambled egg, right? This is an irreversible change because I cannot make this egg go back to how it was before, okay? I cannot put it back, make it become a liquid again, and put it back in the eggshell. That is a chemical change. So we now have a solid cooked scrambled egg, okay? And we can see that this has changed chemically. It's no longer liquid, it's now solid, okay? The same thing would go for an ice cube. If I were to melt an ice cube in this pan, that is a reversible change because I could pour it back into an ice cube mold, and it would freeze back into that shape. So that is reversible, but this was a chemical change, okay? So it completely changed what the egg looked like. It's no longer a liquid egg. I cannot put it back in that shell. So we applied a physical change to the egg by breaking it, and we applied chemical change by cooking it. So think about anything that you cook. So when you make a cake, you are chemically changing those ingredients, okay? You're combining the flour and the egg and the sugar. Once you've baked a cake, you can't take that flour and egg and sugar back out. So those are physical and chemical changes. Thanks for watching, guys.